So, it's January, which means there's a good chance that we might actually see a Nintendo Direct in the next couple weeks. Obviously, this is an exciting time of year, especially for Nintendo fans, because Nintendo really seems to have kind of taken hold of January as like a really prime spot for them to give us some more information, and it's almost always in the form of a Nintendo Direct. Some of their biggest and best and most famous announcements and Nintendo Directs have happened in January. Last year, we got the Mini Direct, which didn't really have a whole lot of exciting stuff in it, but it was certainly nice to get something, and it wasn't too long after that we actually got a true traditional Direct in March anyway. So really, that whole first quarter of the year really turned out to be something special. The year before, they gave us a good Nintendo Direct. 2013 was known as one of their best Nintendo Directs ever, that January, where they announced things like Wind Waker HD and stuff like that. So now that it's, first couple of days of the year, 2019, there's a lot of stuff waiting in the wings on the Nintendo front that many people are excited about, many people are curious about. We have a lot of questions about a lot of big things. And so, does that mean that another Nintendo Direct is about to drop? Now, full disclaimer here right at the beginning of this video. What I'm doing is definitely discussing what would make sense to show up in a Nintendo Direct, or what we might be able to expect if one was to happen in the 31-day month of January 2019. However, while yes, there's one or two article headlines out there talking about rumors, behind-the-scenes rumors of a Nintendo Direct possibly on January 10th, yada yada yada, there is really nothing, at least that I've heard and that I see many people talking about, as far as actual rumors or leaks or anything. The conversation now is mostly based on wishful thinking. I think it's important for us to remember that yes, a Nintendo Direct this month does make a lot of sense. Yes, January 10th does make a lot of sense for a date for that Nintendo Direct, which is about a week from now. But really, this is something, like I said, I think it's just wishful thinking, and it's just speculation, and it's just a lot of detective work of everyone saying, hey, we expect Nintendo Directs in January, but Nintendo hasn't said anything. There isn't substantial leaks or rumors. It's really just been people talking about it, and that's all I'm going to do as well. So don't take this as me trying to spread a rumor and saying I've heard this behind the scenes, or oh my god, everyone's talking about it, because that's not true. A couple of people, yes, but really, no one's saying that this is actually going to happen officially. So that being said, obviously it's still exciting to talk about, and I will tell you guys that yes, my personal opinion and guess is that I would think we probably are going to see a Nintendo Direct in the next couple of weeks, and I am so pumped to see what they might do, because 2019 is shaping up to be an incredible year for Nintendo and for the Switch. So many things happening, so many things to be curious about. I mean, the Nintendo Switch Pro, we can't forget that's even a conversation for this year as well. So I don't expect that to be at a Nintendo Direct in January, but I thought it was worth bringing that up. So if a Nintendo Direct was going to drop in January, there are a couple of things that I would expect to happen. There are three main confirmed 2019 games for the Nintendo Switch that I think have a good shot at showing up in the first half of the year. And I think that if there was going to be a Nintendo Direct this month or next week or what have you, that Nintendo is going to spend some time detailing those games, giving us some more previews, some more gameplay, info on some gameplay mechanics, and also giving us release dates. And I don't know that they would necessarily do all three of these games just in January, but I think that any one of these games could get a huge focus in a January Direct. And that, of course, would be Yoshi's Crafted World, Animal Crossing, or Fire Emblem Three Houses. My gut feeling tells me that Yoshi would probably be the first game to release, so hopefully that would turn out to be like a February or a March release. One of the games I'm the most excited for this year, as you guys obviously know. Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing are tricky games, because I think one of those becomes a perfect May release. And we have to remember that Nintendo has used May, that kind of late spring, early summertime of basically the month of May, the last few years to bring out one of their biggest and most highlighted games of that year, such as Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, Splatoon 1 also on the Wii U, ARMS, of course, last year on the Switch, brand new IP. They've really kind of taken hold of that May time, just like they have with January, to be a good focus for a big Nintendo product. And so I feel like Animal Crossing or Fire Emblem could be one of those games to release in that period. And I don't really know which one I think makes the most sense. I go back and forth in my head on which one makes a lot of sense. The other one of those games, one of them could release in May, the other one could release in June. I feel like that's most ideal. I guess I want to guess that maybe Animal Crossing might be the first one out and show up in May. And so maybe Fire Emblem would be like that June or July release. That puts it in like the first half, early summer, midsummer kind of release. I just feel like those games lend themselves to that time frame. So I think that it would be neat if Nintendo wanted to give us dates for all of those games, confirm them hopefully for the first half of the year, just my personal theory and guess here. And again, give us info. They would also say, here, we have to now show you actual gameplay of Animal Crossing. We have to show you more gameplay and details and a breakdown of Fire Emblem. I feel like with Fire Emblem, I almost could see them doing that separate from a Nintendo Direct, so maybe Animal Crossing makes more sense to actually see in a Nintendo Direct in January, along with Yoshi. Tough to say, but overall, those are probably the games that make the most sense. Luigi's Mansion 3 is kind of the odd man out because I have this other theory in my head when it comes to that game might be a little bit later in the year. Maybe that becomes an August or a September, like a late summer, early fall release. I think that could be a great time to release Luigi's Mansion, get it a little bit closer to Halloween in the fall time, because it's spooky. I feel like that game is also probably not that far in development. I mean, far enough to release in the year, but compared to something like Fire Emblem or Yoshi, which I think are both close to completion, I feel like Luigi's Mansion still has a ways to go. So I think that game becomes ideal for later in the year, and so I don't necessarily expect any info of that in January. Another game we're really waiting to hear about is Bayonetta 3. And I mean, I put that at like a 50-50 showing up in a January Direct. It's another one where it just depends on when that game is supposed to fall. Heck, we don't even know if it's 2019. Maybe that game is so early in development, it's actually a 2020 release. I don't necessarily think it is, but anything is possible until Nintendo or Platinum actually give us the date. So if we went on the assumption that Bayonetta 3 is going to release in 2019, like I kind of feel like it will, I could see them making that another early release, quarter 1 or quarter 2, just like they did with the Bayonetta 1 and 2 pack last year. But Bayonetta 2 itself, when it was brand new, released in, I want to say October, maybe November, but I think it was October. Either way, it was definitely fall, closer to the holidays. So maybe they would want to release this third game, the actual sequel, as opposed to last year's remasters. Maybe they'd want to release that around the same time, in the fall. So if that's the case, then I wouldn't expect to see it. If they plan on dropping it in quarter 1 or quarter 2, then yeah, I would expect to see it. I think on the non-games front, something I would like to see Nintendo detail in a January Nintendo Direct would be some more information about Nintendo Online, everyone's favorite service that no one has any issues or problems with. I think whether it's giving us new games for the NES online console thing, whether it's confirming more retro games, maybe from other platforms or something in the way of more like a traditional virtual console, maybe they're going to bring SNES games over and add them to the NES library. Stuff like that. Are they going to fix the cloud saves thing? Are they adding completely new features that we don't even yet know about? I feel like they've got to continue to do something to bolster and sell and add value to Nintendo's online service. And what better time to do it than a Nintendo Direct early in the year? The service is only a couple of months old, and a lot of people are still struggling and having issues with it. And as I've said before, justifiably so, I don't really have issues with it because I don't need anything more from it than just access to playing online. But for people who need more value out of their online service, yes, it is then lacking. Maybe they're going to somehow fix the voice chat thing and give us that huge bombshell announcement that you no longer need the app. Whatever they might want to do, they got to add more to the service and sell it to people in a better way. And I think that this would be a very, very excellent time for them to do that. Now, I do have to make an attempt to not try to throw every single game under the sun into the first Nintendo Direct of the year, because I think it's easy for a lot of people to do that. Oh, a Nintendo Direct is happening next week, so obviously they're going to show this game and 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 this game. And it's like, no, Nintendo doesn't do that in Nintendo Directs. If you really look at a Nintendo Direct, they don't usually feature that many games and that many new announcements. They can take 30 minutes and just give us 5 games we already know about, and then 1 brand new game announcement, and then a surprise trailer, and usually that's all it takes. So I don't want to throw 1,000 games into this Nintendo Direct, but I think that we need to consider some other options, and that becomes the third-party conversation. What third-party games are they going to detail? What games do they need to maybe announce or confirm that are coming that we don't yet know? You know, I discussed recently, we know Doom Eternal and Mortal Kombat 11 and Dragon Quest, Crash Team Racing. Some of these big games are coming. They've even detailed things like all the Final Fantasy games and stuff in the past. Some of these games are coming. Maybe they show us some information on those games, but more than that, I think it would be great to see like a surprise new third-party game. I mean, last year they gave us Dark Souls Remastered, and we know how that played out. The Switch version got delayed by like 6 months, which was stupid, but that's what happened. Hopefully they give us something else like this, and hopefully it's even a new game, not a remaster of an old game or something that already released on the PS4 and Xbox One. I think there's a great shot we see some form of third-party content or surprises. And then, if we do want to consider remasters, everyone's been waiting for Grand Theft Auto 5, and I want to think that eventually it might happen, so maybe they would randomly do it in this January Direct. I mean, tough to say, but I think that it's worth considering. I feel like some third-party surprises and some details on third-party games we maybe already know about also makes a lot of sense. Nintendo's enjoying great relationships and success with third parties. They'd be crazy not to further address it. And now, the last thing I want to talk about, this is what you guys tuned in for. This is what you wanted to hear me talk about. And that is Metroid. What about Metroid? Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime Trilogy. Is this the time Nintendo's finally going to give us information about Metroid? Because we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and they've been teasing and teasing and teasing, and they've been not delivering and not delivering and not delivering. So, I'm going to be real with you guys. Biggest Metroid fan in the world. You guys know I cover a lot of Metroid stuff and Metroid Prime 4 info on this channel. My honest to goodness real feeling on Metroid Prime 4 in a January Nintendo Direct is no. I think it's still not the time. After the Game Awards came and went, and there was all these reasons to think that Metroid was going to show up at the Game Awards in so many different ways, including 2 direct teases from Reggie and Nintendo themselves, still Metroid did not show up. So now that that's happened, my true and honest feeling is Metroid Prime 4. At this point, I'm going E3 or bust. I think E3 will be the next time we see and actually hear Nintendo talk about Metroid Prime 4. And that includes the first gameplay, an official title, a release date, or even a release window. Anything about it. CG cutscene, whatever. We're not getting anything from Nintendo on the Metroid Prime 4 front until E3, my guess. It is only a guess, but I gotta do it. At this point, I am sick of waiting, and I'm sick of thinking every other day that it's gonna be the day where Nintendo and Reggie finally show us this game. They're playing a specific long con when it comes to Metroid Prime 4. I think they want to be very calculated with what they do with this game. They know they have to treat it right, and they have to deliver and first reveal this game perfectly. They cannot mess it up, and I feel like, randomly throwing it into a January Nintendo Direct with a smattering of other games isn't going to quite cut it. I think it needs more specific attention. So just to protect myself and a lot of you guys, my honest to goodness theory is Metroid Prime 4 is E3. So if we get a January Direct, some Direct in the next week or two, I do not expect Metroid Prime 4 to be there, and I don't think you guys should either. And the benefit here is, by the way, if I'm wrong, then we just get to be that much more excited and surprised if it actually shows up. But I don't think I'm wrong. I just don't think it's showing up now. That game, I think, is going to be revealed at E3. And that's fine. At this point, I don't mind waiting. Now, the Metroid Prime Trilogy, I have a couple of conflicting feelings on that, you guys, because obviously, I believe in this game. I've believed in this game for over a year. I've been talking about it on this channel since last July 2017. I don't think there's many people on the internet who's been talking about Metroid Prime Trilogy coming to the Switch longer than me. Maybe a couple people, but I go way back to the grassroots movement of bringing this game over to the Nintendo Switch. And so, yes, I clearly believe it's going to happen. Initially, when I thought about a January Nintendo Direct maybe happening, I was like, nope, we're not going to see Metroid Prime Trilogy either. Nintendo is holding everything Metroid off until E3. That's my honest feeling. They didn't put it at the Game Awards, so screw that. I'm waiting until E3. They're not going to do it. But I started to think about Reggie's Metroid teases, and that's kind of got me changing my tune a little bit on the possibility of a Metroid Prime Trilogy showing up at a possible January Direct. I mean, God, that's like theory inception. We're just like theorizing within a theory. It's so ridiculous, but whatever. And so here's the reason why I feel this way, you guys, because we know Reggie teased the Metroid with his Metroid t-shirt thing with Jeff Keighley, back in like October or whatever before the Game Awards, and that got everyone excited. It got me excited. Oh my God, they're totally teasing Metroid showing up at the Game Awards. Then at the Game Awards, Reggie appeared specifically early in the show, not even to show us the persona thing or anything. He just showed up, talked to Jeff Keighley for a couple minutes, including on stage when he showed up with Sean Layden and Phil Spencer. And he was wearing a Smash Brothers shirt, but this Smash Brothers shirt very prominently had Ridley of Metroid on his shirt. It was the part showing visible on his shirt. And so everyone in the first hour of the Game Awards was like, oh man, Reggie teasing us again. That shirt isn't about Smash. That shirt's about Metroid, because why would he have a Ridley specific t-shirt on? And then there was no Metroid. There was no Ridley. It was just a Smash Brothers, and it was a Persona character coming to Smash, which is fine for Persona fans, but it's like, where the hell was the Metroid? And so I got to thinking about this stuff, and I was like, dude, I refuse to believe that Reggie did not wear both of those shirts on purpose. And I understand the argument of, oh my god, it's just a t-shirt, stop overthinking it, stop being a fanboy and a Nintendo nerd, and booty hooty hoo. I get that some people will say that, but no. I don't think that way. I 100% believe that Reggie, he's way too smart. If you work for Nintendo, you know these things and you know your Nintendo audience, and Reggie wouldn't have done that not understanding how people would react. And if anything, more evidence to the fact is that, well, it was several months ago he wore that shirt with Jeff Keighley and everyone freaked out about Metroid. If there was no intention to do something about Metroid soon, why would he have then made the same mistake a second time at the Game Awards? It's because it wasn't a mistake at the Game Awards, and he knew what he wanted to do, and him and Nintendo are really stoking the Metroid fanship flames with a poker. They're just like, you guys want that Metroid, ha ha ha. Oh, you're gonna get it only when we're ready. And so, the reason I'm saying all this stuff is because I feel like Reggie is trying to keep everyone actively guessing and wondering and waiting and dying for Metroid stuff. And so, since I believe Metroid Prime 4 won't be in a possible January Direct, that is why I then start to believe, but the Metroid Prime trilogy could show up in a January Direct. So, that brings me, after that whole tangent, all the way back to the main topic of the Metroid Prime trilogy showing up at a Nintendo Direct. And, yeah, I think maybe it could happen. I think it could make a lot of sense. I don't think that Nintendo is teasing us with Metroid for no reason or just to be mean. I think that they really are trying to build that excitement, and they want to give us a huge release by showing us that Metroid Prime trilogy, and then it's going to simmer back down, and we're going to wait all the way until E3 in June, and then we'll get the Metroid Prime 4 stuff. I think that there is a good shot. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put my money on it. Again, in a world where there is a January Direct, I would say it's maybe 60-40 we would see the Prime trilogy. I'm not telling you it's like a lock because of the t-shirt thing. But I think that it's given me reason to not count it out. That was the purpose of the whole t-shirt story, is it means I no longer want to count the Metroid Prime trilogy out of a January Direct the way I am counting out Metroid Prime 4. And so, that's how I feel about a January Nintendo Direct for this month, 2019. Is it possible? Yeah, it's pretty possible. In fact, I'll even say that it's likely, you guys. We probably are going to get a Nintendo Direct sometime in the next week or 2 weeks. And it's going to be great. I think they got to showcase Travis Strikes Again, by the way. I think we need more info on that. Something else that could show up. But we need to remember, it's not confirmed. There aren't really substantial rumors. There's really just a couple of headlines and a couple of videos. Some really great videos. Sean Long, RGT85, you guys know him, good friend of the channel. He made a video about a Nintendo Direct in January, just doing the same thing, just predicting off the cuff, not talking about rumors or spreading leaks or anything. Just like, hey, it makes sense for there to be one, so let's talk about it, just like I wanted to do today. So we have to remember nothing's been confirmed, so maybe it doesn't happen, but I certainly believe it's going to. And this is a good idea, some of the things that I expect to see at a Nintendo Direct, if they give us one. So what do you guys think about my theories and speculation? What do you think of the Metroid Prime stuff? And what do you think yourself? Do you expect a Nintendo Direct? And if you do, what do you expect Nintendo to show us at that Nintendo Direct? That is it for me. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R. I'll catch you next time on another video.